Your grand rising, everybody. How you doing? This is Coach Renz, and we are going live now. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Just doing a little housekeeping before we get started. I'm gonna get started here in a few minutes. I'm gonna talk about the fact that Joseph never existed. Did a couple of short videos on that yesterday, 2 of them. Thought that those were worthy of conversation, so we're gonna have a conversation concerning those today. Today's conversation, I don't know how long it's gonna last, because got some celebratory things to do in a little bit. But we are here. If you find this channel for the first time, we are a deconstructionist channel where we deconstruct from Christianity, but you can deconstruct from any religion. Our primary focus is Christianity because that's the one that I grew up in. That's the one that I know the best. And like I said, it's the one that I deconstructed from. So from my own experience, we can get deeper into it. Please share the channel. If you are a subscription member, then you know that there are extra videos that you're getting right now. We are getting deeper into alchemy and the hermetics, but just changing our lives and getting better in our lives, period. Becoming a master of ourselves. So I want to thank everybody here. Oh, and there's a couple other pages that I have, which are Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travels. I want you guys to go join that channel. We are really about to kick it in because we're moving next week to Wilmington. We're going to start logging that. We're going to fly out to Boston on February 7th, and we're going to the Celtics versus the Hawks. And we'll do a little bit of touring while we're up there. You guys can follow us on our Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travels. Angelina's page of Really Did You Know? It's also a great page to follow. I see my people are coming on. How you doing, Karen, Franco, Debbie? Debbie never told me yesterday if we're gonna see her when we pass through Dallas in March. We are doing a cross-country road trip in March. If you're in any of the cities that we're going to go through, it'd be great to meet you. So we're going to be leaving Wilmington, North Carolina, going to Atlanta, then Jackson, Mississippi, then Dallas, Texas, then El Paso, Texas, then Phoenix, Arizona, then San Diego, then LA, then Las Vegas, then the Grand Canyon, then Albuquerque, New Mexico, then Oklahoma City, then Memphis, then Knoxville, then back to Wilmington. Debbie said maybe. All right. I'll take a maybe. We'll start getting out more information soon about the retreat that we're going to have at the end of around July, August time frame. And more information about that will be coming out too. But Franco said nothing in the Bible existed. It's a fabrication of more ancient texts to fool the Gentile Goyim. It's fabricated even for the people who are Jewish. It's a fabrication for the Israelites as well. Although I will say there are a few things in the Bible that are somewhat accurate, like Hezekiah did pay off the Assyrian Sennacherib so that he wouldn't take Jerusalem, and the Assyrians conquered all of northern Israel. It's things like that you can find that might be correct. And usually these are things that happened after the 8th century BCE, after the 700 BCE. You know, the Babylonian captivity happened. Now, were people thrown in fires and Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego? Hell no. Were they captive? Yes. Did King David exist? We're finding some items that may suggest that King David actually did exist. Does that mean that he beat Goliath? That he went and got 1,000 foreskins from Phoenicians? No. All that miracle shit. It doesn't make the miracle stuff reality. And some of that we're going to talk about today. Now, for the people who are on here right now, and if you're on Instagram, I don't get to see your comments, but this is also on YouTube as well as Facebook. On Facebook and YouTube, I can see your comments, but Instagram, for some reason, the comments don't show up on my StreamYard. But I am, yes, on Facebook and YouTube. Those are my primary. How many of you, if you saw the my 2 videos yesterday about Joseph never existing, just say yes. If you saw it. If you didn't see it, just say no. But if you saw it, say yes. If you didn't see it, say no. Those were posted yesterday on both Facebook, YouTube, and I just posted them on Instagram like a few minutes ago because I forgot to do Instagram yesterday. Okay. A couple people have seen it. Not yet. Well, if you haven't seen it, you're gonna hear a lot about it now. And that doesn't mean don't go and see it. I don't have any coffee today, so I got hot chocolate and a chocolate rim around my glasses. Around my cup. No coffee. We'll survive. But if you haven't seen it, we're gonna see a lot of we're gonna talk about it here. The things that I talked about in there. But still go back and look at it. Keep the numbers going. I just posted another video right before I started this live. And in that video, I talked about the fact that they had Roman porn, but they didn't have any pictures of Jesus. In 30 CE, 30 to 70 CE, they got Roman porn, but no Jesus. You don't get a picture of Jesus until like 200 CE. So I just posted that video a few minutes before I started this one. So go check that out after the live. So this is where I got to get better with my stuff. I need to bring in some pictures and things like that. Wait a minute. I think wait. Actually, I think I can. So we're going to go through some of the things that were talked about on that video as to why Joseph never existed. Now, have you seen the why I left the Bible? I mean, what's wrong with the Bible series? If you was with me in January, when we was going through Genesis, then you already know some of the information about Joseph not existing. So who is Joseph? Let's first establish who this Joseph character is. According to the story, right? Joseph is one of the sons of Jacob. And if you remember, Jacob had 4 wives. He had Rachel, he had Leah, he had Bilhah, and I can never remember the other wife's name. Rachel and Leah, sisters. He got tricked into Leah. And then he stayed for another 7 years and he was married to Rachel. Their handmaids is Bilhah and the other chick. Well, the problem is that they started this baby race, and all of them wanted to have, and Rachel and Leah started a baby race, And they gave their slaves to him to make them wives, though they were slave wives, as part of this baby race. And all the 12 tribes of Israel were born from this baby race, Joseph being one of them. Now, Joseph was Jacob's favorite child because he was the first son born from Rachel, who was the only one of his wives that he claimed that he loved. Right? All right. In the Gambia, Jacob then gives his son this special coat. His brothers get jealous because Joseph was an asshole. His brothers get jealous and they didn't like his assholery. So they then throw him in a pit. And then they tell their dad some wild animals ate him. But then they have mercy and they sell him off to some people who are on their way to Egypt. He gets sold into Egyptian slavery. While he's in Egyptian slavery, he's at Potiphar's house. Potiphar thinks he's great, but then his wife also thinks he's great. His wife tries to seduce him. He rejects her. She falsified a claim that he tried to take advantage of her. All right. So then, after falsifying the claim, he goes to jail. While he's in jail, two guys have a dream. He breaks down the two guys' dream. One guy's going to be executed. The other guy's going to go back and be with the Pharaoh. Tells the guy who goes back with the Pharaoh, hey, don't forget me. But, of course, the guy, he forgives him, right? He forgets all about him. And then Pharaoh has this other dream. Sees some fat cows, sees some skinny cows. The guy who went back to Pharaoh, I think it was his cupbearer or his baker. It was one of them, cupbearer or the baker. I think it's the cupbearer. Goes back and he said, oh, there was this dude in jail. He can interpret the dream since none of Pharaoh's dudes could do it. So they call Joseph up. Joseph comes in. He tells Pharaoh, hey, you're going to have 7 years of bounty and 7 years of famine. The Pharaoh's impressed. Of course, they never tell you who the Pharaoh is. The Pharaoh's impressed, and the Pharaoh starts puts him in charge of taking over Egypt pretty much. And, he takes an Egyptian wife, and he takes over Egypt as far as running the administration. He becomes like the COO of Egypt. Now, Joseph's character is still jacked up. He ain't learned shit yet because he takes advantage of the Egyptian people. He charges them a 10%, I think it's like a 10% tax on everything they produce. And for 7 years, he collects that tax. After he collects that tax for 7 years and he stores it up all over Egypt, now the famine is kicked in. As the people come and they're hungry now, instead of them giving the people this food that they saved up from the people through taxation, he charges the people. He charges them money, and then when the money runs out, he charges them their livestock. And an interesting part about the livestock, when his brothers come in search of him because they're having a famine over in Canaan as well, he plays games with his brother and all that kind of stuff. And he finally reveals that he's brother, but he puts his brothers and set them up. It's 70 of the Israelites come, and he sets them up in Goshen to be the animal herdsman for the king, right? So when he starts buying all the animals from the Egyptian people, when the Egyptian people start selling all their animals to Joseph, he sends them up there to his brothers. So his brothers, they're getting rich. Joseph is already rich and powerful. Brothers are getting rich and powerful because they're in charge, right, of all the animals. And everybody's giving up their animals. And then once all the animals are gone, people start selling their land. Once all the land is gone, they start selling themselves into slavery to eat. All that happens during the 7 years of famine. So he collected the taxes from the people and then sold the shit back to the people while they were in distress. Joseph is a messed up individual according to this book. So then Joseph lives, and he dies. Well, yeah, he dies. Now, Joseph's body, this is where we're going to get into it. So his father Jacob dies, and he makes Joseph promise that his bones be returned back to Israel. Joseph dies. The Bible says that Joseph's body was mummified in the same way of the Egyptians, rather. Same way of the Egyptians. He was mummified. Now, after his body was mummified, and the Exodus happens. According to the Exodus story, they took Joseph's body back, and he was buried in the same cave that Abraham, Sarah, um, Jacob, Leah, they were all buried in the same place. And the problem arises. So he was mummified. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let me see. I know. I'm gonna mess this up. So his body was mummified. I want to see if I can do this because I want to show you guys this other part. Maybe it will work. Maybe it won't. So this is a recent mummy that was found, right? And once this mummy, one thing we know, one reason we know so much about Egyptian lifestyle and about what was going on with the Egyptians is because the area to which they live in is great for maintaining pottery, maintaining buildings, and in this case, maintaining mummies. Now, if Joseph was mummified, and I don't know if this is going to come up. Let me see if that messes up. Nope, it doesn't. Then we should have been able to find Joseph's body, right? Should we not be able to find his body? But yet we can't find his body. Now you might say, well, it wouldn't be easy to find his body because, you know, that's just how much of archaeology have we found. But the problem is that the Bible supposedly tells us exactly where Abraham's body is supposed to be. It's at the cave of Machpelah. It's in the West Bank. It's in the West Bank city of Hebron. And that's where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah are all born. Or I knew it was another woman who was there, Rebecca. So if we know exactly where his body is supposed to be, why haven't we found any of these bodies? Now, they have a place in Israel that they call the Caves of the Patriarchs, right? And it has the adjoining field that was purchased by Abraham as a plot of land that he had bought, I think, from a Hittite. And you can go and visit. And they built a building on top of it. But at no point ever, it's called Ibrahim's Mosque. At no point have they ever shown you what should be the mummified body of Joseph. If there's any Christians in the audience, explain. Explain. Where's the body? Wouldn't you think at minimum, the Jewish people would be showing this is Jacob's, we found the cave. It's cave of the patriarchs. We got it. It's right here. We got it. And here's Jacob's body. And it dates back to that time frame that Joseph, sorry, here's Joseph's body. And it dates back to the time frame. And we found the remains of three other women, and some other dudes. 3 other dudes. Nope. You can go. Oh, I wonder if this works while I'm doing this. Yep, it does. Is there anything marking the location and is off limits? No, it's not. You can go into the building, you can walk around. They got a little thing that they say was the cave, and you can look in the cave, and no, it is not off limits at all. You can be all up in that piece. And the answer is yes, I've been there. Even though nobody's asked that question yet, I'm going to go ahead and answer that question. And so they have, let me get this image down. Let me see if I can get this image. What they will show you, what they do have is additional. Oh, well, then I'll be dang. You grab a whole bunch of these, huh? I'm still learning how to do this, man. I'm still learning how to do this. It is kind of sectioned off, but it's sectioned off in a different way, not in a way that a person can't go visit it, but it's sectioned off to where you can't, they have this stone, and the stone then has a gate around it, so you can't necessarily touch it. So this is what you'll see when you go there. You'll see this little stone right there, and this is a gate so that people can't touch it. And like they try to make it seem like this is where we found the body. This is where they were buried. This is our memorial to them. What the hell are you talking about? I'm sorry, y'all. That's an incorrect statement. What statement? Yahweh had 2 sons named Yaqapeth had 2 sons named Andy. He had a son named Andy. Ephraim was over here before Columbus. Dude, I'm not even gonna bother with this because it don't make no damn sense. I'm not even giving it my time. Always trying to make America greater than it is. This is some bullshit. All right. So I didn't even read the rest of it. As soon as I saw Andy, and then that they were here in America before. That's that bullshit of trying to make the Native American. Do they even Native American Israelite? Do you even realize that part of the reason why they say that they believe these Native Americans were Israelites is because of the Mormons, because of Joseph Smith? Joseph Smith claimed that bullshit, and y'all riding on that. I don't want to listen to nothing else he's saying, but I'm right on that part. So anyway, beyond that, so forgive me, y'all, for putting that on there. All right, we got a brother from Ghana. Welcome to the family. What is that? I'm gonna call you Ziggy. Dada Ziggy. Welcome to the family. So it's right, exactly, Kim. Andy. And this is one of the things they will not let people do. They won't let archaeologists do any work to any of these things. Right? So if they actually have found the cave, and you got to be skeptical about every time they say they found a cave, like when you go to Israel and they try to tell you, oh, this is the cave of Jesus and da da da, you know, this is where Jesus was buried on Calvary, and they built a whole big church on top of it. It's like Calvary is right there, and then like 50 feet away is supposed to be the burial. There were no burials right there at Calvary, but they try to claim it, you know. Now the Protestants had another one over where there's a bunch of different graves, and it's like they just pick one and say this one was Jesus, and people go there, and because of their emotion, they're like, oh, I can feel the Lord's presence. I don't feel no damn presence. That's just your emotions. But according to this Bible, Joseph's body should be the easiest body for them to find. And if they have already excavated that area, they built a church on that area, they should have found a mummy. But where's the mummy? There was this comedy movie named Don Verdin, who was an artist who's it sounds like they're talking about Ron Wyatt. It must be the Ron Wyatt story. Because Ron be telling some lies. Well, he was telling lies. He's not alive anymore, but you know what I mean. Right. Joseph Smith was a con man, a religious nut, who really was trying to prevent himself from going to jail for marrying these underage girls. Yep. Thank you, Karen. She's been to Israel, into Jesus' tomb, huge church built over it. Right. You can't even tell Calvary. It's just a goddamn, the buildings all around it, but it's a church on top. And you go inside, and it's like, oh, and you go up this little thing, this little stair thing, and they're like, this is probably where Jesus was, the cross was. Then you go down the stair things, and you go over to the right. If you're coming down the stair, and you go towards the right, and then you go into this other room, and they got this big dome ass thing inside the building. And this is where Jesus was, this is his tomb. And it's like, hold on. Damn tomb wasn't this close. Some bullshit. At least if you go to the other one out where there's a bunch of graves, it looks, it's more real. It could be more real because that's where a bunch of caves where people were buried are located, like a cemetery would be, you know. So simplified, devil dog. Yeah, and that's when I went. I went twice, and I was in the Marine Corps when I went both times. And our ship pulled it. I was on a ship, a med float. When did you go, and who was you with? Phil. And I don't know if Phil and them got to do it. We was there for 4 weeks each time. So I'm in Israel for 4 weeks. So a total of 8 weeks. I saw all that shit. And it was, and I said this, and I don't know if I said this in a comment or a video to somebody. I was in my early 20s. I was like 20, 21 when I went to 20, between 20. Okay, so I went twice over a 2.5 year period, 4 weeks at a pop, and 20. And I was 22 the next time we got there. And the thing about it was, when I first went there, I was really, I want to be Christian. I'm gonna see all this stuff. It's gonna prove my Christianity. I'll be in there. But actually being there is what moved me away from Christianity. Going to Israel moved me away from Christianity, more so than anything. When I went to Rome, the things that I learned about Constantine and about Eusebius of Caesarea and going to Constantine's Ark and seeing the bullshit, I could mentally say, well, Constantine was a politician, he was just full of shit, blah, 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 right? But Israel is what actually made me not be Christian. That actually was more of a pull. And seeing bullshit like that and the Wailing Wall and the Jordan, going to the Jordan, going to Hebron, going to all the places, I was like, no. And yeah, it's a complete tourist attraction. Sackcloth, you're right. It's a complete tourist attraction. Yeah. I would, even for everybody who's walked away from Christianity, I don't know when we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to plan a trip to Israel. It ain't going to be this in 2024. I can guarantee you that. But we're going to plan a trip to Israel, y'all. We're going to plan that. Yep. And they also show you the physical place that was called hell in the Bible. It's a cave. It's also the valley. Remember, it's a valley first, and then there are caves beyond, at the end in the valley. Oh, you went in 1988. Oh, hell no, I was still in high school, bro. But I did 1-8 was with us. So I was with MSSG22 and we supported 1-8. But you get to see all that shit. Yeah, because remember the valley that they call hell, what is it? Is it Guyana? I think. Yeah, Guyana. That's where they also throw all their trash, and that's where like the poorest of the poor are live. They used to live, and all this stuff. I saw a thing with John the Baptist praying spot. And they say they found tiny, small, but also they tried to say this was the foot washing spot before I got in. They didn't draw attention to it. If you walk right, oh shit, my bad, I ain't mean to hit that. If you walk right by and not notice it, seems like they put these churches and stuff is for the tourists. And that was the thing. So one of the things that was happening during the Crusades and even after the Crusades is that the different, especially after the Reformation, after the Reformations especially, Europeans were going to Israel and taking over sites, and it was taken over to make money for tourism because people were making these pilgrimages to Jerusalem. All these Christians were. So it was a big money game, and the Catholic Church had the most money and the most support by Rome, and by governments after the Roman Empire broke up as far as a state, and they bought up every goddamn thing. You can still go. You can still go on tourism in Israel. This is and who am I guy? Phil can back me up on this one. Oftentimes, when they show Americans places that are in conflict on the news, they're only showing you the conflict areas. The rest of the place is doing fine. Like we can roll up and go to Haifa. And I don't know, Phil, did you go to that diamond exchange in Haifa? Whew. If you're an investor, you can get you some diamonds for some real low prices. And you can go to Tel Aviv, you can go to the beach, you can party, all these things. The parts where where shit's blowing up, you don't go there. You can go to Jerusalem. Ain't nothing going on in Jerusalem. Their tourism still is good to go. So we will be fine. We're going to save something like that for 2025. of 2025, we're going to Israel. Don't know when in 2025. I know Renee said that summer is her work season, but it's cold as hell in Israel though now. Because I was there the first time in February and it was cold. Yeah. Phil, no. Got some diamonds for your ring, your engagement ring. Yeah, you can get some good deals. Right. And hold on. God damn it. Yep, Phil, you got to go because you'll be able to help me out. And that's what that was the start of the Knights Templars. That's how the Knights Templars became rich and then became because they were poor knights who were providing security for the pilgrimages there. And then they started making a bunch of money. And then they started a banking system because then they started saying, okay, you give us your money here, we'll give you a chit. We got a bank there, you can get your money. So they actually started international banking. And that's how they got wealthy. And then they started loaning the governments. They were like the first centralized banks. And of course, the King of France was indebted to them so much that he made up a whole bunch of bullshit about them so that he can get the Pope on his side. And then they massacred them. That's where Friday the 13th comes from. Because it was a Friday the 13th that they raided the shit out of them. Karen said, don't go in the winter. It's the coldest she ever felt. And you're absolutely right. The problem with Israel during the winter time is not only that it's cold, but because they're at the back end of the Mediterranean, all that damn wind come off that water, and there are no trees and the shit to block it. It's cold. So 2025, we're going to Israel. And I'm telling y'all, you go to Israel, you're going to see all the, I believe. And you'll see these old people up there in their little wheelchairs and shit trying to get around. And all these people praising and all that. And, you know, but I'm going to show y'all bullshit when we go to Israel. Especially like when we go to Bethlehem. And you get to Bethlehem and you're like, oh, there was no inn. And you find out that an inn was just the basement of a house, of a family house where they kept the animals. So you get to understand the bullshit of that whole story. Like they were poor and nobody would help them and all that. No, it had absolutely nothing to do with any of that bullshit. It was simply the fact that the whole, think about it like a family reunion. Everybody's there. But the room that a woman has a baby in, the room is unclean and anybody who's in the room is unclean. And there wasn't enough rooms in the house for her to have a whole room to herself during that time frame. You know, because supposedly they was all there for the census, to which the Romans have never forced people to go home for a census. So that was bullshit in itself. So it's a made up ass story. And you're right. You heard that Moses, hey, brown butterfly, I ain't seen in a while. That Moses never existed, and how him and the Ramses never crossed paths because their age or their stories don't add up. And it doesn't. Their age and their stories don't add up at all. I'm being just slightly distracted because Angelina just got home and she, you know, of course, well, this was her last day at work before we moved to Wilmington. So she all excited. I'm not going to end the live early. So now starts a new chapter in our life of me doing lives and her being home. Doing other shit. Working on Really Did You Know? And working on Eat, Sip, and Travel. Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travel. And I don't know if he was listening to the live, but I just announced that in 2025 we're going to do a trip to Israel.
Oh, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, so just, you know, organize that.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we get the first one out of the way first?
Yeah, we're going to get, well, that's 2024.
Yeah, can we get it out of the way first? Yeah. Yeah.
No. Anyway, so what Karen said. Come here. Come here. Get to him. I got something for you too.
For more?
Yeah. Hold on, y'all. Let me show y'all something. I'm gonna get to this question. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I tell you, they tell the tourists that the ground Jesus walked on and carried the cross. They lie. They have lifted the ground up, and the real ground he walked on and carried the cross is underneath that ground. Yes, they have. I got to give Angie something that this may not matter to y'all, but this is gonna matter to her. Hold on. Go sit right there so they can see.
What? No.
Go sit.
I don't like
You can't have it. You can't have it if you don't sit.
Oh shit.
So, now you gotta be in the camera. Okay? So, for your last day, starting of a new life,
Oh my gosh.
I got you these. So people don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Pappy. Yes. Go, Pappy.
And they have no idea what those are.
You don't, but
So Pappy,
it's a beautiful thing.
I know this ain't got nothing to do with the whole conversation.
I'm sorry for this interruption.
Actually, when I went off the conversation a little bit, but I'm gonna bring them right back to the conversation.
Some bags of chocolate.
No, I hate chocolate.
No better than chocolate. I don't like chocolate like that.
You can-
But I like these.
So if you know Pappy Van Winkle, the alcohol, the liquor, these are the cigars of Pappy Van Winkle. One of the best cigars out there. And she loves them. But Pappy cigars, especially these are what are those, the Churchills or the Toros? Churchills?
My dear. Oh,
Open it, I can
it
see.
didn't quite say.
I couldn't remember if I grabbed it. These are the Churchills.
Yes. These
The Churchills are like $30 each.
Hi, Angela.
Not trying to brag or nothing like that, but
But
just to let you know how special they are. These are $30 each. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
You can't smoke it without me, though. You gonna let me have one?
Sure, of course, babe.
Okay.
Near.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, but yeah, the Pappy Van Winkle cigar is like so nice. If you're a cigar smoker, hell, I think even if you're not a cigar, even if you don't have a palate where you can smell it through your nose, you wouldn't know. So anyway, exactly, special cigars for a special evening.
Sorry.
Angela, yeah, actually, not only does she save them, but this is my cigar box, right? That she turned, and I love Mustangs. And Angelina made this into a cigar carrier for me. Got the Mustang in now. And of course, you know, I got to put some more cigars in here, but I keep my cigars and my cigar tools in there. But Angelina makes these. So she takes cigar boxes and she makes, and a lot of women use them as purses. Like she has a Pittsburgh Steeler one. Oh, hey, for Boston, you should make you a Boston Celtics one. So that when we go to Boston February 7th, you can take that up there with you. So anyway, back to the no, no blunts. Was Moses a pharaoh? No, Moses was not a pharaoh. Moses never existed, but even according to the story, he's not a pharaoh. And according to history, there was no pharaoh named Moses. Yeah, and you can do this. You find some these men, they'll take you into places where the tourist company don't take you. Right? and you can see more stuff than you would normally see. Okay. Oh, she said, damn it, I smoked my black woods that your husband bought you. Yeah, some good life going on. Yeah, and I thought the same thing. You just go up a slight little damn hill, and then there's a big ass church right there. I know my cigar's out. No, sir, you do not take a $30 cigar and trauma. You will be in trauma if I see you take a pappy, cut it open, dig it out, and re-roll it with your stuff. Oh, trauma. Trauma, you will be in trauma. You will be in so much trauma. What did you say? Oh, nice, honey. Can we do a craft cigar craft time? I don't know what you mean by that one, Angela. We have talked about I've done some videos about the LDS. Yeah. All right, so we getting off subject. It ain't time to get fully off subject yet. 144,000 angels. It was supposed to be 144,000 that are sealed, and it's supposed to be the Jehovah's Witness claim that to be the sealed people. And according to Revelations, it doesn't say angels. It doesn't have the word. It doesn't have the word for angels that says 144,000 that are sealed. I've never heard of it being 44,000 angels. So enlighten us, Brandon. But as Brandon is enlightening us, let's get back to Joseph real quick. Let's get back to Joseph. All right. Can we get back to Joseph? Because we got one more thing that's going to show that Joseph never existed. All right. Again, thank you everybody who's coming on Instagram. I see your comments every now and then because I have to click over to a whole other page. But Facebook and YouTube is the best place to be. So there's another thing that lets us know that Joseph's story is a lifted story. It's not a real story. It's a story that we've been lied to about. And I'm going to show you, if you haven't seen the video that I did yesterday, where that story got lifted to. She's so stupid. Where that story comes from. Let me make sure I can get it. Here we go. I wanted a better picture. Nope, that one's not good. Hold on. Hold the phone. I thought that was a good one, but it's not a good one. It didn't come out as good as I wanted it to. So some of you guys say you saw the, okay, that one should come out good. But this is going to be another thing that they claim that they found. I mean, that completely debunks this Joseph story and show us exactly where they got the idea for the Joseph story to incorporate into the Torah, the Jewish biblical narrative, and make people think that their story is real. Nope. Before I go there, I'm gonna go ahead and answer this one. Brandon, I don't go for that kind of thing, honestly. I mean, you can, it's fine. I'm saying I don't. You have 77,000 genes active. Those people had no idea about that kind of thing. That is taking something that they wrote and trying to force it to fit into today's world. And how messed up of a God would that be to write things in a book that people at the time frame would have had no clue of? That to me is when people are trying to renegotiate the Bible to fit into today's world. So, I mean, no disrespect for your line of thinking. You're more than welcome to think that. But I just think that that is utter nonsense when we try to make the Bible fit into the knowledge base of science that we have today. I talked about that on a video like a day or two ago of how every culture tries to force the Bible narrative, or biblical people try to force science to fit into their biblical narrative, force science to fit into their biblical narrative. And that's all that is trying to make it work, but it doesn't work at all. And that's another problem I had with this God, this until they're ready. That's like saying that man wasn't ready to absolve slavery. So this guy kept slavery around until man was ready to absolve it. Man wasn't ready to treat women equally, but this guy had to wait for man to be ready. Man has always been ready to absolve slavery. He has always been ready for all these things. So let's get to what this picture is over here. All right. Does anybody know what that picture is? Does anybody know what that picture is right there? Does anybody? Oh, and if you're on Instagram, you can't even see what I just put up there. So you might want to come on over to Facebook or YouTube. Well, I'm waiting to see if anybody knows what it is. I know one person already said what it is. Let me see if anybody else is saying the same thing. And I'll answer this. The Bible has some allegories and some metaphors. But the Bible, especially the Old Testament, is of an Israelite people who were trying to create a history for themselves. They did not, they believed Joseph existed and Moses existed and all these other people existed. They didn't look at Moses as an allegory. Even if you look at Judaism today, they believe that Moses existed. I like Patrick's answer. An ancient rock. It is an ancient rock, but look at it and you see there's inscriptions all on the rock. But this is the Famine Stele. The Famine Stele. And yeah, I see that. I know you corrected it. It's wrote it Stele instead of Stella. This is the Famine Stele. Right now, what do we learn from the Famine Stele? I know for y'all who saw my video yesterday where I talked about this, you already know all the answers to it. But for those who did not, we're going to break down the Famine Stele. So the Famine Stele was written during the time frame of Ptolemy the Fourth, right? Fourth or the sixth, but Ptolemy the Fourth or the sixth, one of the Ptolemies had the Famine Stele created. Now, what the Famine Stele is talking about is Egyptian history. In Egyptian history, in around 1200 BCE, you had Djoser, right? You had Pharaoh or King Djoser. He was a king, King Djoser, right? So it was actually longer than that, older than that, might be older than that. But Djoser had a dream. And in Joshua's dream, he saw 7 years of abundance and 7 years of famine. Right? Now, in Joshua's dream, it was interpreted by one of his council members. His council member told him that in order to prevent the 7 years of famine, he had to sail down the Nile to Upper Egypt and reestablish the temple of Khnum and make offerings to Khnum. So Joshua goes down, he reestablished the temple, he makes offerings to Khnum, and Egypt is spared a 7-year famine. But they did have their 7 years of abundance. So from that story, the writers of the Bible, the Old Testament, between 700 and 500 BCE, incorporates this aspect into the Joseph story. I want to get the year right for Joshua. It was Ptolemy the Fifth, sorry. It's Ptolemy the Fifth, and it was created in 250 BCE. And actually, the area flooded, and when the Nile River floods, that brings so much abundance. And that was in King Joshua's time, which was 2700 BCE. That's why I call him King Joseph. You really don't get pharaohs until Akhenaten. Akhenaten is the first one who used the title pharaoh. Joshua was considered a king. But it ended. So the famine did happen a little bit, but the famine ended, and the Nile River flooded, and so that's where the story comes from. So 2700 BCE. All right. Biblical time frame for Joseph. Now, according to the biblical time frame, Joseph was 1590 BCE. So the stories don't match as far as the time frame. Joshua could not have been the king that Joseph was working for. It also couldn't match because if you did put Joseph at the time frame of King Dozier, then the time frame the Israelites supposedly were in Egypt, then that would throw that time frame off as well. So you see how there's so many things with it that it just wouldn't be able to work. Time frame wise, who was the Pharaoh, when the 7 years of famine and 7 years of abundance happened, how it ended. Because according to the Bible story, the famine didn't end. So they took an old story that they knew about. Because evidently, if the Ptolemies knew about this story in 250, and this story was being written somewhere between 700 and 500 BCE, then that story was well known. And here they just took it and used it for their own propaganda. And the Israelites showed that they took a lot of people's stories and made them their own because they had no damn history. They were a bunch of goat herders and sheep herders who was able to gain prominence because of the Bronze Age collapse, and their numbers grew during the Bronze Age collapse because the coastal people came to live in the hillside during that time frame, which is where they were. And it's like it's kind of like a situation where, let's say, I don't want this to happen, but let's say there's a big ass, when finally the big earthquake happens in California and the coastal region of California falls into the ocean. Well, all that desert that's on the other side of the San Andreas will become beachfront property. So when the Bronze Age collapse happened, all that beachfront property in the Levant became worthless. So living in the hillside country became the new Beverly Hills. And that just happens to be where the Israelites were. So when the Canaanites and all the other Phoenicians and people start coming into the hillside, the Israelites got the benefit of it, created their, they established themselves, and they created their own history. Because in the 1200s, well, in the 1400s, they got their ass whooped. And that's where we get the Meneptah Stele. And we'll get them in the 1200s, they got their ass whooped. Because that's where we have the Meneptah Stele, indicating that the Pharaoh at the time frame in the 1200s had kicked some little people's ass named the Israelites. And that's the first mentioning of the Israelites. But then the Egyptians lost in the Levant to the Phoenicians soon after that. And then right a century after that, the Bronze Age collapse happens, and boom, the Phoenicians, a lot of the Phoenicians leave and go and resettle in Libya, and they become the Punic people. And a lot of the Canaanites and the remaining Phoenicians, they run up into the hillside and they become part of these Israelites. The Shashu people come in and become part of the Israelites, and they then begin to create this falsified history for themselves. So they created a propaganda story for themselves. But this story definitely shows, and the timeline shows, Joseph never existed. That it's all a made up story. Because when you put it all together, you see that how they created and why they created their stories. Let me take this off. So that's the Famine Stele. So anytime you're thinking about it, it shows you that the story is invalid and is created, and therefore if the story is created, then their God is created. And they just stole the Canaanite God Yahweh. I know Karen, you must have really enjoyed that trip to Israel. You went there for a month. No, a month is not enough time. If we go there for like a week or 2 weeks, it still ain't gonna be enough time to see everything. We're gonna hit the main bullshits. Like, we're gonna see how it was impossible to follow a star from the east, from Jerusalem, and you end up in Bethlehem, when Bethlehem is southeast, but more south than it is east. The Dead Sea is cool as shit, though. It's cool to go see it. Like, it's one of the few bodies of water that I can float. For some reason, my buoyancy level, I sink like a rock. But the salinity of that damn Dead Sea, I can float on it. And I didn't try walking on it, but probably could just walk on it. But my body felt great, though. Like, all that salt just sucks. That's why I like going to those float places where they put all that salt in that water and you just float in the water. Because that's one of the only times I can float. But you feel energized. Sorry for asking what was the cause of the Bronze Age collapse. Not sure at all. The leading theory is a major drought. Is the leading theory that a major drought happened at a cataclysmic level, which broke down society. But that's the leading theory. And you're saying, is that based on 100-year life? Is what based on 100-year life? Because I don't know what I was talking about when you said when. So it is what based on 100-year life? If you want to find out what the base sources for the New Testament is, read about the you'll find a lot of the Zoroastrian ideas in the New Testament. The stories about Krishna and the Vedics. If you look at Buddhism, you'll find a lot of the Buddhist writings will fit into that mindset. And then some alchemy, a little bit of alchemy, and some of the Greek stories as well. What was the Pentius? What's the Greek story that I believe Paul is based off of? But it's a story. It's a story about Dionysus. But Pentius is Paul, and you'll see elements of that story in there. So basically, they just corralled a bunch of stories from Mediterranean, and these people were in contact with the people of India, the Persians, and remember from the Bronze Age collapse. I mean, not Bronze Age. The Babylonian captivity ended when Darius conquered Babylon and then released the Jews of northern Israel. He released them, but Darius was Zoroastrian. And so they understood the Zoroastrian story when they were released from there. And Zoroastrian was still prevalent during the time frame that the New Testament was written, because they were under Roman control as well. When is that? We personally, and as well as with the group, have too much in 2024, so it won't be in 2024. We're going to do a retreat like in North Georgia in 2024. And then me and Angelina already got a full travel schedule for 2024. So 2025, we would do a trip to Israel. Yeah. And let me tell you, your perspective is amazing. You'll have a completely different perspective by going there and really seeing the bullshit. The bullshit comes alive. Are you saying the timeline based on 100-year life? The timeline is not based on the life at all. The timeline is based on just how we calculate time. When we know when Ptolemy made the Famine, Stele, 2050. He's talking about a time frame by them being able to calculate the different kings list and so on and so forth, when Djoser was the king. As far as the biblical timeline is based on, if you start with Jesus, right? And you go and look at all the begetting and who begat and how long they live, and when they'll tell you when this person was born, their daddy was 100 years old or 90 years old or 80 years old or whatever. Then that's how you can calculate the timeline of the Bible, and you can get your biblical timelines, which was one of the worst things that Bible scholars could have done to debunk the book itself, because it doesn't match up with history. Yes, and I do think that Zoroastrian's influence, the ideas of Zoroastrian, is very prevalent in Islam too, because they would have known about that as well. Can you do a quick example of how the bullshit comes alive? So one I've already expressed, which was when we either, let's say we're in Jerusalem, and the next stop is Bethlehem. If the Magi followed a star in the east, then why are we going south? Because we're going south and slight east to go to Bethlehem. So the Magi could not have been following a star in the east that hovered above the house if we would, and we're going south. So it doesn't work at all. When you go and you look at Calvary, they say this is possibly where Jesus was crucified. But then the tomb is like 30, 40 feet away. It's like, nah. Because according to the culture back then, the tombs were not in the same place as Calvary, as the execution place. The tombs would have been way the hell over there, somewhere else. And you can see all these different ancient graveyards that fit the time frame and the era, the time frame of that fit that era of life. So it's like, nah, that's some bullshit too. We go to Jericho. You find out that in 1500 BCE is when people lived in Jericho, and then for 500 years nobody lived in Jericho, right? But the time frame that old boy would have supposedly came into Jericho and conquered it, there would not have been any walls to fall down. Oh, Lacey. Have you heard of Clint? Yes, Ron Wyatt is a sad, you know, they say you shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Bullshit. So this Ron Wyatt character, he was I hate using the term pseudo, but for him it fits completely. A pseudo biblical archaeologist. Now, there's a couple of things about Ron Wyatt that don't make sense. That shows that he's falsified his stuff. One, Ron Wyatt does not have a bachelor's degree he doesn't have a bachelor's degree, period, and does not have a degree in the Bible stuff at all. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't do shit and can't learn shit, because I don't have a degree in it. So I do believe self-study is a great study. But one of the problems with Ron Wyatt is he claims all these archaeological finds in Israel, right? The ones he claimed in Israel, like finding Jesus's blood, right? And these digs that he did. Well, in Israel, unless you have a bachelor's degree in archaeology, you will not get permission to do an archaeological dig. You have to, at minimum, have a bachelor's degree in archaeology to get permission to do a dig in Israel. So the fact that he claims that he got permission is bullshit. Him saying he found the Ark in Turkey. There are plenty of, that whole mountain range in Turkey has multiple rock formations that look exactly the same. It looks like a boat. It's a naturally forming thing. And every time somebody goes and climbs down on any one of them, no evidence of an ark is ever found. So he's full of shit. The chariot wheels he claimed that he found in the Red Sea, and this part that you can cross and it looks like a ramp, he can't, the chariot wheels don't exist. They don't exist. Well, they don't exist. No archaeologist has examined them. No historical society has examined nothing. He just makes shit up and people believe him and follow him. Because people are ready to believe anything. Once you have a belief system, you will attach whatever somebody says that will help you to validate your feelings. We had a ceremony. I don't know if Phil was able to do it, but if you completed a certain training with the Israeli military, the ceremonies are held in Masada, right? But yeah, they killed themselves. That was during the Maccabean revolts. Your dad needs to do some serious research into Ron Wyatt. Like he has proven absolutely nothing. You would have to go on him by faith. Okay. This is a good one that Angela put up. Where the hell I just put my glasses over here? Right here. This is a good one. I did a video about this a while back. And let me see if I can find a video about this a while back. And let's see. That's not going to be big enough. Let me find one that's big enough so that y'all will be able to see it. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try to see if it'll work. So y'all hold on. Stop typing stuff. This. All right. We're going to see if this works. This should work. Oh, hell. Where y'all at? All right. So, you see where Jerusalem is right here, right? Can y'all can see the arrow, right? You see Jerusalem? And you see Bethlehem is right there south. Actually, southwest. Sorry. I've been saying southeast, but it's southwest. So if you were to go see, if they saw a star in the east, they would have went that way. And remember, the Magi supposedly went to Jerusalem first and talked to Herod. And then they followed the star in the east up, but that takes you towards Heshbon. It doesn't take you south to Bethlehem. See how that works? Even for those people who be talking, oh, the map is flipped upside down. That would still take them over that way. There's no way they saw a star in the east and they ended up in Bethlehem. That's all the bullshit. All the bullshit. That's a good question, Brian. If Saul was the king of the Israelites and David killed his entire bloodline to become king, how is David considered a historical patriarch father of the Israelites? Wouldn't he be a fraud king or hated by the people for killing their king, whom is supposedly appointed by God, man, as the successor of Joshua? Because they just switched the bloodline, and he's still an Israelite because he comes from, because it goes David, Jesse, Obed, back then to Boaz. So it still goes through, and he still ends up being an Israelite. Because it'll go all the way back to Perez, and Perez is one of the sons of Jacob. I think Perez is the son of Jacob through Bilhah, I think, who was a slave wife, but it's still Jacob. And then Jacob is Isaac's son. Isaac's daddy is Abraham. So they can still keep the bloodline. It's just a different line. What do you think about people that pass and claim to have met Jesus, and a lot of them being non-believers, that they are meeting figmentations of their imagination? So, for instance, Roman, let's say I was never Christian, right? Let's say I was never Christian, but I grew up here in America. I grew up with family members who are Christians, friends who are Christians. I'm surrounded by churches all the time. Christian identity or iconography and words and thoughts are all throughout the Western world. So if I died and I'm having an emotional experience, and I believe that, and I had some questions, it is easy for me to see Jesus. But let's say I grew up in Saudi Arabia and I was surrounded by Islam, I would probably say I saw Muhammad or Allah. Or if I grew up in India, you want to show me something? Show me somebody from the Sentinel Islands who died and they said they saw Jesus. And they've never even heard of nothing about this Jesus. Then you'll have something. There was a time they said they saw Mary in the country of Togo. No, I don't believe that. They've been taught that bullshit. Oh, you know what? Somebody said LSD is a powerful narcotic. You stupid. And what's funny is all these people claim they saw Jesus, and all of them give different descriptions. If you saw a video I did like a week or two ago, well, all these people like, I saw Jesus, and one dude saw Jesus who was white, another dude saw Jesus who was black, another person who was shining. You know, they just when you have a near-death experience, one of the things is you have a lot of DMT that your brain releases more DMT than it normally does. DMT is a hallucinogen, and your subconscious mind is going to manifest whatever you really got going on in the back of your head. The academic census says that the destruction of the temple took place in 70 CE. Why do you believe that destruction of the temple is only mentioned in the Gospels? I never said it was only mentioned in the Gospels, and it's not. If you read the Annals of Titus, then you'll see that the destruction of the temple is talked about there because Titus ordered that the temple be destroyed, and he repurposed the stones for other usage. The Bible is simply copying that story of the temple being destroyed. Because it was written after the temple was destroyed. Somebody is so happy that they are not working, and now they get to start their life anew, making videos on Really Did You Know and Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travel. They all excited about that over there, aren't they? But yeah, I wouldn't. And this is the subconscious is your real brain. I like to think of your subconscious as your real brain, because that's what your real thoughts are. The things you really believe are there. That's why you do shit. You know how they say when you know better, you do better? That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a big old lie. That's because your subconscious brain is still doing shit. Like, for those who are on the subscriptions, I'll do a video either today or tomorrow. I don't think she's going to let me get away with the video, that many videos today. But today or tomorrow, there'll be another video about how alchemically and hermetically you have to master your finances if you want to become a master alchemist, hermeticist. And do you know how many people, they know better of how to handle their finances, but subconsciously, because you've been trained a certain way, you've been watching your parents, you've been living in certain countries, you still do the wrong thing. To know better doesn't mean you're going to do better. Everybody knows you don't spend more money than you make, but you keep doing it. We keep on doing it. So it's gaining control of that subconscious mind. Now, if a person has control over their subconscious mind, They're not going, and you don't believe in Jesus, and you truly, 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 truly have deconstructed, you are not going to see Jesus. Now, I might see Jesus, though, actually. I might see Jesus and this Yahweh because I got problems with them jokers. I might force myself to see him so I can lay one in on him. Me seeing Jesus ain't going to be like anybody else seeing Jesus. All right, look here. Okay, look here, partner. You supposed to be God and all right. I got some problem with that bullshit that these people got going on. And they gonna have that. That's the only way I'm gonna see Jesus. All right. I got a bone to pick with you, bro. When my ancestors was being enslaved, why you didn't do shit? If you supposed to be God, I was like, sit your ass down. Don't interrupt me. That dude gonna have some problems with me. He gonna be like, man, look, go on to your whatever heaven you want to create. Go on now. Go on. I ain't got time to deal with you. Damn, this motherfucker. It's probably why I'm still alive. Because they're like, I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to deal with him at all. And this is why most of us have become deconstructionists, because we research, we study, we allow ourselves to be critical thinkers, and we walk away from this bullshit. Yeah, because that's all it is. Right. Like, why you leave all them kids to be slaughtered? I was thinking about doing this video. I probably am. Why would you create a parasite that the only way this parasite can survive is to burrow into the eyes of a child, and then that child goes blind because the parasite consumes their eye? Child hasn't done anything. All it did was being born. But you allow for that to exist. You created that. Why? It doesn't make sense. And you want me to call you a good God? I'm not calling you good. You're anything but good. As is evil. What man say? Just saying, I've been known to partake, and I haven't had a divine encounter aside from a godly taste of food. I've been known to partake upon some shrooms, and I've had very naturalistic moments, feeling the energy of the earth, or the people around me, or delving deeper into my psyche. But I've never met a God. I met some aliens one time, whole bunch of them, all throughout the galaxy. You're right, John. I'll be telling you, you're nothing but a lot of talk and a badge. And this is why people see Jesus. We can make, I think this is what he's saying. I didn't read the whole thing. We can see Jesus by making that the reality of our mind. Most don't know their power to create because of the matrix deception and conditioning. Exactly. Sometimes I only have to read your whole comment and I know where you're going. And he's 100. I would throw it up there. Moab, Utah, and the shrooms. Oh, just gave me an idea. We are going to the Grand Canyon. We're gonna be in the middle of nowhere for a little bit. Might be some good earth energy going on out there. But yeah, we can manifest and create so much in our mind. Like everything in your life right now is a mental creation by you or someone else who has a stronger will than you. Is really that simple. Um, in life, the answer is real simple. Gaining the understanding and gaining the power to do so, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. The work that you have to put in to get your mind there, right? To get that strong. So you have to learn how to control your thoughts and your mind. And the Zoroastrians had it right. Good deeds, right? That's the primary tenet of Zoroastrianism. If I was to create a religion, I would take that from the Zoroastrians because they write good thoughts, good words, good deeds. But you have to train yourself to have good thoughts. Even in the most difficult situation, you have to train yourself to have good thoughts. And that doesn't mean you don't deal with reality. The reality is if somebody is trying to mess you over or doing something negative towards you, you have to deal with it. But to go straight evil, no, you don't have to go straight evil on them. But to have good thoughts, good words, good deeds. You know, I love that about Zoroastrianism. Actually, when I was in Israel the first time, and I was so disgusted with the fact that all it did was invalidate my Christian belief at that time frame. The next thing I actually started studying was Zoroastrianism. And then I was very disheartened when I found out that the only way to become a Zoroastrian is you have to be born into it. And I was like, well, that's fucked up. But that's not a good religion. Because I still wanted religion at that time frame. And let's say I had a dream about Valhalla and I have nothing to do with it, but I could see it all from a blip. A blip, which what does that say about my mind? And I have nothing to do with it, but you know about it. See, that's what I'm saying. Your mind is so powerful that you can have a dream just about things that you know or that you slightly heard of. If you've been watching the Marvel movies, you could have a dream about Valhalla. You know, in Love and Thunder, old girl goes to Valhalla. Because why? She fell in love with Thor. She knew Thor. Now the Norse mythologies are now a real thing. So it's understandable for her mind to take her to Valhalla because she had experience with it. You may not have had experience with it, but you've heard the stories, you know about it. It's a part of, I don't know if you're in America or not, but depending on where you are, it's a part of the general culture, right? You've heard about how long, whether it registers with you all the time or not. You could be watching a movie or a television show or anything, and they might mention Valhalla. You may not have given it any attention at that time frame, but everything you see, hear, smell, touch, taste goes into your mind and is recorded. So it's in there. It's in there. You might go through samsara simply because you heard something about samsara a while back. You know what? One of the reasons why I love that movie, just fell out of my head. What's the movie where the dude takes the pill and all of a sudden all his brain is like on 10? Oh shit, what is it called? He becomes rich, but then he runs for president. Well, he's running for Senate at the end. What is the name of that damn movie? Y'all know I like some movies. Limitless. Thank you, Trauma and Brian. Limitless and Andre. Remember the scene in the movie where he's talking to his landlord's wife? And he just saw the corner of the book in her bag. And then everything that he read somebody's book of a co-ed that he was dating, and he thumbed through it, and all that shit came back because your mind captures everything. It's just having access to it is the limitation that we have, right? But as you grow consciously, you begin to have connections with things. You'll be able to grab things that you couldn't before. Somebody asked me in a comment or somewhere, they asked me, do I have a photographic memory or no, they didn't use a photograph. They said identity memory. And I don't, right? I told them I don't. But if I read something, write something, or hear something, it is very, the more consciousness that I've had, it has been easier for me to remember things and connect things. But I've been that way since I was a child. Like, I never studied in school. Like, literally, I can't remember ever studying really in school. Well, I did have to study French because I just wasn't clicking all that great. So that was something I had to study and practice. But science, math, all these other subject matters, history, things they always came easy to me, right? But anybody can develop that. And I used to read constantly, read the encyclopedias, that green book, green and white encyclopedia. Then I got hold of Britannica. Oh my gosh, the world opened up. So anything you've seen or heard, smell, touch, taste, it's in your memory. So now when you dream, your mind is actually more connected, right? And you're able to access more stuff. That's one of the reasons why your dreams can have so much shit in it, and you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on in that dream, because it's like this, because your mind has access to all that stuff now. It has access to more stuff. Can you control your dreams? Yep. Can you walk through walls? Yep. Yep. And the majority of people's lives are on autopilot, but yeah, you can control your dreams. Like a lucid dream is basically you being aware of your dreams, but the deeper you get into lucid dreaming, you begin to control the dream. Because if I don't like the way the dream is going, I'll rewind the dream and make it different. And it's going to go the way I want it to go. Actually, that's been one of the biggest helps of dealing with PTSD from the military, is the fact that when I'm having one of those types of dreams, I'll rewind the shit out of that dream and change it. Lucy was another movie like that. Thank you, Cora. But yeah, it is training is the training of your mind. You have to train your mind. Like, that's where the Bible throws little things in there. Like, if you're a believer, then it's a constant renewing of the mind. But you train your mind. And that is a good thing. It seems like you drop anchor points to retain a lot of your knowledge. Yeah. It's kind of like, when you're driving, like, I'm one of those people where if I was giving you directions around Atlanta, I'm not going to tell you turn down this street, that street, that street. I'm one of those, like, you're going to go down on Memorial, and then you're going to see, when you get up to where you see, not Wachovia, whatever that damn bank is. Now the bank fell out my head. What's the red? It's a red bank. Red bank. But anyway, whatever the bank is, I'll tell you, when you see that bank, you make a right. Go down that street, you're going to pass a Quick Trip. The road is going to fork. Stay to the right. Keep straight on that road. And I give you all these landmarks because I anchor landmarks in how I travel. And I do the same thing with my mind, with things about history. There are certain anchors in there. I call them spark plugs, because once I get the spark, then the rest of the information flows. Roman, you're right. Roman said, I woke up one time around 3 a.m. I was in my team, saw a black mass moving around in my house. When I tried to stand up, I couldn't, because it took all my energy, and I started stumbling and falling on the floor and felt evil. I know there are two sides. Yes, there's two sides to your mind. There's the duality that is in your mind. It works on the pole. And your mind created the black mass as a representation of the evil, of the negative portion of your mind. And then the thing about your brain is that your brain is so strong that you can have things happen in your dream and your physical body will respond to it. So when I did clinical research, and when I was a clinical research associate for about 6 months, right? The travel is too stupid, can't do that job. But for 6 months as a clinical research associate. And one of the things that I noticed is that in a double-blind test, half the people are given placebos. And out of that half that are given placebos, 70% of those people are going to have the same physical responses as the people who were actually given the drug, right? Simply because they believed that they were getting this drug, but really they were just getting like sugar water, right? So they have the same effect, 70%, and you have to account for that. And know that 70% of those people of the 50% are going to have the same results. That's how powerful the mind is. And since your mind has both the positive and the negative, you create your own evil. Oh, I have never accepted this, that we only use 10% of our brain. We use our whole brain. How well we use our brain differs from person to person, but we use the whole damn thing. Yes, yes. I learned that from this Buddhist monk, to be in a dream and then meditate in the dream to go deeper into your mind. Right? It's kind of like, what was that movie? Y'all know I love movies, and movies are easy references, but it is the one Inception. It's kind of like Inception, having a dream within a dream within a dream. I can do that too, where I can have a dream, multiple dreams within the dream, and have to wake up from each dream before I wake up. But also to meditate within the dream to access the deeper portions of your mind. Now that's some serious alchemical shit there. That's some alchemy, like a big dog. And that takes some serious training. I'm falling behind. Do you believe there's a spiritual side of life at all, or just what you see in front of us? Yes, I do believe in. I do accept what people would call a spiritual life. Um, if you are a hermeticist, then you understand the law of correspondence of as above, so below, meaning that there are multiple levels of understanding and multiple levels of life, and so what we would call a spiritual life could be just another dimensional plane or just a higher consciousness. We exist in the matter plane right now. And within the matter plane, there's matter plane A, B, C, D. And so then in a higher spiritual plane or a conscious plane, there will be spiritual plane A, B, C, D. Spiritual plane D intersects with matter plane A. And that's where we cross over. That's where you will be like your consciousness or your soul, if the conscious has been raised to go into that next plane. At the end of the day, it's all just energy and different levels of existence. Yes, trauma. I scare myself quite often, and it's pretty cool. All right, let me get down here the way y'all at. Can you please write a book series about religious deconstruction with all of the history you always share with us? We have to go to 50K different sources to try to understand all of this. So right now, and I know I'm late as hell because I haven't given it the time. I have to finish this book that I've been writing forever called How to Find Your Divine Soulmate, because y'all know I love relationships. And I think that the relationships can be a great source for all of us. So I will finish that book soon. After that book, I will write a deconstruction book. I used to believe in psionics back when I was believing whatever felt. Back when I was believing whatever felt good. I don't think I've heard of that. I can't go by whatever feels good. Two people may not perceive the same thing the same way. Uh, in in here might have a different view of the information you're putting out, if that makes sense. No, it does make sense. Uh, and a lot of how you perceive something or accept something is based on your mindset and your upbringing, your conditioning, everything that's happened in your life, in the life of those who you surrounded yourself with, which is why we're all going to have different perceptions. Pretty much. Um, like this one dream that I was having quite often, and I got tired of having that dream, so I had to change it. But I was in this house, and as I was coming down the hallway, there was these four mass blobs kind of coming at me, but it was humanoid, and they was coming towards me, and every time I would fight them, And then in one of the dreams, I realized that they were the people who died on the helicopter crash off of the USS Guam. And so, the VA wanted to give me all these pills to try to help with the dream. But I told them, no, I'm going to work this out on my own. So when I started having that dream, I would make them whole. And once they became whole, they weren't frightening. Then I just have to get over survivor's guilt. How do you change the negative impact that someone is trying to inflict on me? He does things deliberately to make sure I go down to a low vibrational state, causes me to fall out of my accepting course. Well, the first thing is, can you separate yourself from that person, Karina? That's the easiest answer, is to separate yourself from that person. Right? As long as you allow that person to be around you, then that person is going to have an impact on you if your mind is not strong enough to see what is reality and what is not, and to keep your vibration high. If you cannot separate yourself from that person, then I would say to find out what that person's their real issue of why they are trying to create this negative impact on you. You know how like misery loves company? So a sad person tries to make everybody around them sad. So to find out why that person is sad, then your rational mind can start to understand that it's not you, it's them, and that they need to overcome their own issue, and it's not part of who you are. But of course, I would have to have like a lot more information about that. So psionics mean mental power, telekinesis, telepathy. Yeah, I work on telekinesis every day. What do you recommend for a person who suffers from severe anxiety? Join my subscription group, get some coaching. No. You have to find the root cause of the anxiety. What is the fear? What is the event that happened that is creating the anxiety? And then to put that situation in its proper place, whether it's something to learn from, something to forgive yourself of, something to forgive the other people who may have created that in you, to how to forgive them for it, and then to see the reality of how you can grow from it. Of course, people are going to say, oh, just meditate. No, it takes more than that. It takes understanding the emotional and the rational reasons behind what creates the anxiety. I'm sorry, Roman. I wouldn't normally, but no, prayer doesn't work, sir. Sorry. I'm sure the spouses who are praying that their spouse stop beating the shit out of them praise that their spouse don't beat the shit out of them no more, but they do. But if you find out why that person is abusive, what in them makes them rationalize abuse as love? Did they watch their parents fight each other all the time? Did they watch their father beat the mother beat the father? And that's how they start to rationalize love. And so they have a warped sense of love. Like, no, praying ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's why the best thing for somebody who's in an abusive situation is to move, get away from it, get away from that person. I didn't read your whole statement. Just the first part is so incorrect. Is that I'm putting Christian God aside because of some corrupt Christians. Christians ain't got nothing to do with why I don't believe in your God, your version of God. Right? See, this is that assumption that y'all be making without asking questions. And it still goes to what I was talking about with Karina and the other person who was talking about anxiety. Before y'all speak, you might want to find out the root of a situation first before you start making your statements. And you say no one has seen God. Abraham said he saw the face of God. Jacob said he saw the face of God. Moses saw God. A whole bunch of people in your Bible said they saw God. So that's not true. And I see myself every day. I see myself right now because I'm looking at myself in the camera. Everything around me doesn't tell me what I look like. My reflection tells me what I look like. But y'all need to stop with y'all nonsense. That cognitive dissonance is a massive thing. It's massive. It is massive. Okay, I can't. He moved in with us. Thank you for your advice, but I find that everything he does calls me backlash. So he moved in with y'all. See, this is why it's hard for me to give certain advice because there's elements to the story that I would have to understand. So he moved in with y'all. So is this like you're a child? You're a child, and this is your mom's or dad's boy. This is your mom's boyfriend or husband, and you're too young to move out or something like that. So there's like so much information that needs to be had in order to truly understand the situation and how to change every aspect. Now, of course, if they're in the house with you, you can try to avoid them as much as you possibly can. And when they begin to speak to you, just walk away. Now, one way of diffusing a person who's being verbally abusive is the word okay. 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 And then going about your business. They'll get tired of talking to you because there's a response that they're trying to get. And when you don't give them your energy, it diffuses them. So when I go to my Facebook page, I know if I hit more, where it says like the stuff like post, all that kind of stuff, somewhere around in there in the top part of it, it says more, and then subscriptions come up. No, nope. That's one of the problems. The Bible clearly states where Joseph's body was buried, and yet that he was mummified, and there was no mummy. That's right. For all that prayer stuff, actions work. Prayer doesn't work. If you go to my website, coachrenz.com, there is you can either do a one-time one-on-one, and then there are other programs as well. Now, of course, there's an onboarding that you have to do before we even do that first session, because like I was just explaining, and I just put the website up there, I got to have the information. There's no point in me doing a coaching session with you if I don't understand your history and who you are. Can you talk about the true meaning of love? Oh man. One, there's no such thing as agape love or unconditional love. Love is reciprocal. Love is simply just caring about another person, or place, or thing more so than you care about yourself, and that you're willing to give portions of yourself to someone or something. But there's always reciprocation in love. Like, do you think I would love Angelina if she was slapping the shit out of me? Hell no. She got to go. Right? So love is having that familiarity with someone, that connection with someone. Since I'm gonna talk about it as a personal thing, like one-on-one people, it's that thing, that connection that y'all have, that enough shared things, enough interest that y'all share, enough likability, enough personal connection, emotional connection. But you're also, that person is giving you up to 80% of what you need in order to complete who you are. And I know people always saying, "Oh, you got to be yourself." Nobody completes you. You got to complete yourself. No, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. You're never complete. No one is ever complete, and no one is ever going to complete you. True, but because we have a desire for compatibility and companionship, a person has to be able to provide up to 80% of what you need in that situation of companionship. As long as they don't have that 20% of deal breakers that will destroy whatever happiness they're bringing to you. But it's definitely a reciprocated issue. Now, in this book that I'm writing, I go through the 80-20 rule, the real one, how to discover your true self so that you can be able to identify who and what type of person you would match up to, so that you can get that 80% of what you need in a companion relationship. And Rosalind is right. We were born with everything we need to survive. Helplessness is a learned behavior. Talk about religion. Yeah. No one is helpless unless you're not a victim, or you're not helpless unless you put yourself in that position. And when somebody does, like in Karina's case, somebody moved in that she obviously has no control over, that person moving in, you still are in control of your mental state. But you give it to them when you allow their energy to supersede your own. Man, I see God every day when I look in the mirror. Me too. I see the God, and God is inside me every day. Oh, this is your partner's child? So in my book that I'm writing, How to Find Your Divine Soulmate, when you truly begin to identify who you are and open your chakras, I use the chakra system in order to understand this. When you get through all those things in a relationship basis, as far as fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, loss of love, connection, being willing to let go of earthly attachments, all those sorts of things. And then you begin to look at another person who has those, and you look at them from the top down to see how they match up to you, right? When you're dealing with a blended family situation, the person is the person that you're with worth the trauma that their child brings. Now, many people say, well, the child is not always going to be there. And that's true. They're going to move at some point and go have their own life. But that child will still always be there. And if that man does not understand, or your partner does not understand the impact that the child, because of their allegiance to their children, then they don't understand that in a relationship, it's not about the children. It's about you and that person. Because you and that person are the only two people that's trying to be together for the rest of your life. The child is going to leave at one point, but if they're still holding on anchors to that child to allow them to do that to you, that person doesn't love you enough. They might love you, but they don't love you enough to recognize that you're their life partner. And therefore, since you're their life partner, that child is secondary. This is harsh, but you need to get rid of that person. Your partner needs to go. Because like I've been in a situation where I'm dating this woman. She has children. She allows her children to disrespect me, steal from me, all these other things. So at the end of the day, she had to go. Well, actually, I removed myself. But I left that relationship because I'm not going to be with someone who is always going to allow their children to disrespect me and steal from me and all this other bullshit. And guess what? There's a million other people out there in this world. Bunch of them. You don't have one soulmate. You can have 50 little soulmates. So I'm very big about that one. Because I have 3 kids. I tell my kids all the time, it'd be great if y'all like the person that I'm with. But if you don't, I don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, you little fuckers gonna leave me. And this is how I talk to my kids sometimes. You little fuckers, you little rat children. Most of the time I call them you little rat children. Y'all gonna leave me. And they have. My son is in Spokane doing his thing. My daughters are in Marietta, but they live in their own lives. Them jokers ain't gonna be with me for the rest of my life. They're not my day-to-day. And if a person can't see that, they don't need to be in a relationship if they're gonna let their kids come in and just mess up what could be good for them. So leave. Y'all need to break up. I know a lot of coaches don't say stuff like that, but shit, I'm real with it. Y'all need to break up. If they don't understand that and they're gonna keep that, like when I would meet a woman and she was like, my kids come first, I'll tell her, you know what, we good. Be good. Go live your life. I'm not the guy. What? And this motherfucker's 30-something. And they 30-something years old. Let them be together. Let them be together. Since that's who they want, let them be together. But I'm ending that relationship. That's not a relationship worth having. Because they're not showing you that they love you and want to be with you for the rest of their lives. Hell. What's so great about this person that you're willing to put up with this bullshit of them letting this child? I know I fell way behind y'all comments. Let me catch up a little bit. Yep, Brian, I tell my kids, you little fuckers. They know that it is with love. That's the only way I can be. And some people don't like it, but they'll be all right. But yeah, I hate that you're in that situation. And I understand. oh shit, what was it? What was the term? It was a term that I heard last night. We was watching this show, and that term is so perfect for right now. But I cannot remember what the term is. But basically, it's a term that means that when we've spent so much time in a situation and we know we need to leave it in order to change the future, we have this regret or remorse, or we hold on to that past because we say we've given so much time. I spent 3 years with this person and I wasted, and I don't want to, I feel like I wasted those 3 years if I leave that person. But if you don't, you're about to waste another 5 years, another 10 years before you finally had enough, before you finally get to your pain point. But you got to, once you know, don't wait for your pain point. End it now, because you're going to go through a lot more suffering before you ever get to that pain point, And the promises of, oh, well, they're only going to be here for 6 months, or they're only going to be here for whatever. It wasn't separation anxiety, but it's close, Brian. But you got to know what's the ozone. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. You got to know. And you got to go. You got to go. Karina, you got to leave that relationship. That person needs to go. Just watch your video on God has no body contradiction. Very good point on how Greek philosopher has influenced the idea of Christianity. Yeah, because prior to Platonic philosophy, most people gave their gods a body. And that's where the Bible has conflicts, because it teaches both. What are your thoughts on biblical accurate angels? I find it funny how it took eons for us to figure it out, how they look instead of little naked babies. That is also a Greek influence. Like in the Greeks, the Cupids and Eros and all of them had these lovely looks, but Ezekiel, Enoch, their descriptions are wholly different. But it's nice. It's nice. Even though if you go to some of the old churches throughout Europe, you'll see gargoyles and all this shit on them buildings. But it's nice to think of them as these lovely beings. Man is slow, and man wants to relate things to how they are. Thank you. That's my girl. That's my girl. I don't know how old you are. So that's my lady right there. Well, I can't call you my lady because that's she upstairs. That's my girl. You gotta cut, and don't just be saying that right now because you're in front of us, Karina. You gotta make it an emotional thing. You have to feel it. Like what you feel right now in this moment of when you wrote that, what you feel at that time, and you rationalize and you get that brain-heart connection. You got to make yourself relive that constantly, because every time, because he go, oh baby, and we can make it, and I'm gonna work with, I'm gonna tell him that he can, and then that you got to keep that feeling, keep that emotion, keep that thought. No, they got to go, or I got to go, But this relationship is over. You got to keep that emotion. It's kind of like when I was a personal trainer, right? When I would work with my clients and then they start getting lazy and shit on me, I would take them back to their pain point so that they'd be reinvigorated to keep working as hard as I've been making them work. So that heart-mind connection that you had when you wrote that, you have to be able to hold on to that feeling to make sure you get out of the situation, because they will try to keep you. I don't know if it's a he or she, but they will try to keep you in that relationship. I do love you, baby. Bullshit. And don't argue with them. Hey, this is over. It's not going to work. Your child doesn't respect me, and you allow that, which means that you don't respect me enough. and you don't desire to truly be with me. So this is over. And that's it. We're not going to talk about it and we're not talking about this anymore. I have made my decision. If you have any amount of love for me, don't try to convince me otherwise. And you're going to be all right. You will find somebody who you and your son are compatible with. I'm just not that person. And don't talk about it no more. That's it. Not talking about it. Because the more and more you talk about it, because they, like, it's this thing that men do. Women do it too, but men are champions at it. Break up with somebody or having a problem. A man will engage you in the conversation, even if it's an argument. Because as long as we can keep you talking and keep you arguing with us, if we can't get you to talk nice to us, keep you arguing with us, you will remain emotionally and attached to us. And if we got that emotion, then we know we got your mind. And we can keep you. And you'll stay in the relationship. And then that gives us enough time to let you have a little happiness before we get to the fucked up again. And then get to the apology. And then I convince you to stay, and we go through that bullshit, and we just go through this cycle over and over, over and over. So definitely, if it's a dude, he's gonna try that shit. He's gonna try to keep you by having arguments and conversations and saying stuff. And you might be like, over there, mind your business. And they just over there, yeah, gave you all these 3 years. I was there for you when your car broke down. You ain't gonna, and I hate this, you ain't gonna find nobody who loved you like I loved you. Good, motherfucker. I don't want to find anybody who loves you the way you love me, because you don't. Or it's so little that I can't even see it. Don't let that bullshit happen. That's why you got to keep that mind and heart, that pain point. You got to keep infusing that pain point until you're totally free of that person. And you delete them out your phone. You delete them out of everything. You delete them from your whole life. Your whole life. Get rid of it. So, so I'm glad you have that right now, but you got to keep it. You got to keep it, because they will do it. They will do it. And to me, it's it's funny as shit, because I've had people try that bullshit on me, and I just feel like it's funny. Like, I ain't going for that. Your ass was violent. All I gotta do is every time I start to think that you might be all right, nope. They were violent. They threw that damn phone at me. They were violent. When they were slapping shit out my hand, no, they were violent. And see, for me, it takes like that much violence, and I'm like done. Done. And then even if you're still in the house and it takes a little time to break apart, I'm leaving, go to work, after work, go hang out somewhere. I ain't come back in that house until I'm just coming in to go to sleep, to either this motherfucker move or until I move. But nah, all that house is not a house of love no more. That house is just a place where I sleep and take a shower and keep my shit until I can get out. And me, I'm the type, one of the times that happened and it was their house, I went and got a truck, packed my shit. I had no idea where I was going, and I did not care where I was going. I was just getting the hell on, because what I know I need to do is get away from that person. And when they are talking shit, okay. If I say okay, I ignore the hell out of them. Oh yeah, Trump. I'm sure silence is a beautiful weapon. I know the movie be playing around with that. I'm gonna give you the silent treatment. Shh. I give you a silent life. Give you a silent ass life. Look, you 2 hours, 15 minutes in. The title of this video, we ain't nowhere near it no more. That happens on every video, my guy. If you don't catch that first hour, you may not hear much about what we was originally talking about. Yeah. Yeah. I use the same thing. If it affects your mind and your mental health and your peace, you gotta go. And I don't know about you ladies, but I'm gonna tell you. You can have the finest woman. This is for men. Men could have you could be the finest thing in creation standing right there. And then you can be just, you're attractive, you good. The finest thing in creation is a bother. But she fine. And let's say both of them got good pum pum. But this one, she gives you so much peace. That man will choose the peace over your fineness. 99 times out of 100, we're going to choose that peace. Your peace, your mental peace, your physical peace is so much more important than money, than physical attributes, than the pum pum. The pum pum still got to be good on the other one now. Got to have some good pum pum. But we gonna take that peace. You can't put a price on peace. And Karina, you gotta adopt that. That peace is so much more important than if he got money, than if he looked good, than if he got good ping ping. It's way more important. And especially that you getting hit twice, one from the sun and then one from his ass. That's like a double hit. That's like how the military used to give us Motrin at 1,600 milligrams a pop and tell us to take it 4 times a day, never letting us know that it's eroding our stomach line. That's what's going on in your mind and your heart, is that double dose is eroding your mind and eroding your heart. And it could take, and you got to get out so you can, for lack of a better term, deconstruct from that messed up relationship. You got to get away. Yep, Lacey, your ex was telling you right. Men love their peace and quiet. Mm-hmm. That's why, I'm very upfront. Like, if I'm watching something intensely, don't talk to me. Stop talking to me. Now, if I'm not intensely watching it, okay, we might have a conversation here and there. But for the most part, don't talk to me. If there's something that if I just want to sit on this front porch, you can come out here. But sometimes don't talk to me. Now, the beautiful thing about Angelina is that if we sit on the porch or in the back and we got the fire pit going, her presence actually enhanced my peace. But if there was a moment, and this is another beautiful thing about her, if there was a moment where I was saying, like, if I told her, look, I just want to go sit in the back, build a fire in the fire pit, just gonna sit by myself, she wouldn't be bothered or get in her emotions about it. You know how peaceful it would be to know that you can go and sit by a fireplace, tell your lady that I just don't want to be bothered, I want to be by myself, and her not getting to her emotions about it. Why he don't want to sit out there with me? Why he want to be by himself? What's going on in his mind? And then when you come back in, they got to add, and you come back in and you're refreshed and you're ready and you like, hey, baby. But then they got a little stank attitude. Now you can't step away and get no peace, because if you do want that moment, you know what's coming behind it. All that shit you just went to go do just got all disrupted. How do negative thoughts affect other people? Fact of the matter is that we are antennas. We everything is energy. Every thought that I'm having right now is energy that goes out, right? And some people is receptive, some people are not, but everybody is actually receiving the energy. Some people are perceptive. I say receptive, but perceptive of it. If your defenses, for lack of a better term, is down, then their negative energy can change your energetic flow. And especially when it comes to your words. Words are also energy. If the frequency goes out, and all of that can change the people around you. It's kind of like the way I manage people and manage and raise my kids. If they did something wrong, or that we consider wrong, I would uplift them as a person, criticize the activity or the character trait they just displayed, and then uplift them again. Because I do that, and I've done that when I was in the Marine Corps, and I've done that to my kids, then the main energy that they're getting is a positive energy from me, so they don't feel like I push them down, and they understand and separate them as a person from what they did or said. So energy, we affect each other in all our energy. It's kind of like if you go to a party and everybody's leaning against the wall and being boring, then it's like, damn, that party was boring as fuck. You allowed all that boring energy to affect your energy. You could now, unless you're one of those people, you can go to a party and everybody can be standing on the wall, but your ass is like, hey. Then you don't care. And actually, you doing that can cause other people energy to change. Kind of like that friend that you got that's the life of the party. Like you always want them to go with you because you know they gonna turn it up. It's like I know that there were some people in my life who used me in that way. They knew that no matter what the situation is, I will create or craft a discussion that everybody gets involved in. And the next thing you know, people are walking away like, man, we had fun. So I know that there were people inviting me to some of their events just simply so I can start running my mouth. Amen. And that's interesting. Those who believe in prayer, that energy is your prayer. Yeah. And you think when people pray, that energy goes out, but it's a begging ass energy. Oh, please, God, let the arthritis in my body go away, Lord. Please. And you begging. And you're gonna still have arthritis. And begging don't do nothing. And all it does is create other people around you having sympathy for you, which is just more negative energy towards whatever issue you have. That's me. I'll turn the party out every time. You know you shouldn't have said that, right? You know you shouldn't have said that because we're moving closer to you. So I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna hold you to it. Yep, I'm gonna be that asshole. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm like, nah, bro, you ain't turn the party out. What happened? I was born with a degenerative type of peripheral neuropathy, and I have prayed before for it to be cured, but I'm still in the same position at 35 years old. Prayer doesn't work. Well, God just said no, Lacey. God just said no. That's all. He just said no, and He has a greater thing. He put that on you because you're a strong Christian warrior, and He want to show that you can carry it and still praise Him as a testimony to other people. Ain't that the bullshit? That's the bullshit. But the prayer doesn't work at all. Mm-mm. I don't know the ins and outs to that situation. But I'm pretty sure that there are foods that can help. There are other homeopathic medicines that may be helpful. Meditating and there was a guy, he wrote a book. He was a chiropractor and he broke his back. And the doctor told him that he'll never walk again. But he did the physical therapy. He ate better and he meditated on seeing his bones be reconstructed. And it was like 6 months later, he walked into the doctor's office. and never went through surgery. Don't ask me his name. I don't remember. I've had this happen before, where you're in a place and everybody's having a good time, and then suddenly somebody walks in and they just change the whole environment because they're awkward. Like I've had that creepy motherfucker walk in and just everybody and the whole vibe just changed. It's called. I have never heard of that. You know, my friend. I use my friend all the time because Google is my friend. Dr. Google is always. You ever notice how people try to tell you, "Oh, you just a Google person"? Like, you know how much information if you know how to research, how to use Google. It's just a tool. Oh, so some motor sensory neuropathy attacked to this genetic heterogeneous group of the. Okay, so this affects your motor functions. I just wanted a quick scans just so I know that at least have an idea what it is. Of course, it's showing me like the worst case scenarios. Okay. It looks like it's something that I ain't gonna say be fully corrected, but a lot can be done to have a much better life. Okay, sorry, I know I missed whatever the hell y'all was talking about. Right. How dare I use my readily available tools to fact check? I know, right? That's just so crazy to be able to do that. Like, what kind of world is this? Okay, right. You just wrote out what I just saw real quick. Yeah, that would be. I don't know. I had to get into my personal training mind and this and like because like I had different clients with different ailments, and I would go and research the shit out of them, and figure out a way to best help them. I was just thinking the other day how God made the law to not sleep with a married woman, so he slid into Mary before she got married to Joseph. But you're not supposed to. But if a woman is betrothed, you're not supposed to sleep with a betrothed woman either. And then unless you pay the father 50 pieces of silver. No, if she's betrothed, then you're supposed to be murdered. You're supposed to be killed. So Joseph actually had the right to MDK God. Yep, he could have murdered, death, killed God because she was betrothed to him. Yeah, I saw that there are multiple types of it. Oh yeah, Google is my friend. praying and the works needed for healing may bring better results. I don't think praying is going to help at all. Meditating on the solution, on mentally seeing things. See, when you pray, you're just hoping. You know, I know. You know, even when you say, "I know you're gonna heal me," I know you're gonna. Yeah, they ain't doing nothing. I'd rather meditate and see, like she was saying, with her forearms and her calf, and see her forearms and calf in a healthier state, and to visually get that in her mind of seeing it, and then doing whatever the exercise and the herbal medicines and the diet and putting that work in to get to what you've envisioned. That's like the first law of mentalism. The first law is mentalism. So that's going through that process and to see it. It's just like right now, I'm not doing this by accident. You know, when I was encouraged to give this more attention than I had been giving it the previous 8-9 years. At the time frame was like 8-9 years. I couldn't just, oh man, I hope that, you know, get more people and do it. And I started doing lives, and it'd be like 2 or 3 people on the lives. You know, even last year this time, it might be like 7 people on the live. But I never saw 7 people. I don't even see the number. The number that I would envision is not even up there right now. For me, it says 56 people. But I saw it totally different. And I saw I saw the whole scenario to which I'm sitting in, most of it right now. And then I put in the work to get here. And every time I would have all the negative comments, or what I consider negative comments, like somebody just posted one about, "You're a liar, you're talking about against God's word." It's like, I don't let their statements involve itself with my emotional state. Like, okay, if anything, especially over this year, I decided I'm just gonna be full out with these people and stop trying to be nice to everybody. Like, you know, and come at them how I want to. If they don't like it, you can kick rocks. So, prayer, meditation, and actually utilizing the law of mentalism will get you way more results than any prayer. Because there's no Yahweh, there's no Baal, there's no Moloch. Well, Moloch's not even there. But there's no Baal, there's no Elyon, Jehovah, Zeus, you know, and I'm gonna piss off some of y'all. Automare, they ain't gonna do shit for you, because they're just in your mind. You're gonna do something for you. You and the natural energies of the universe. Yeah. If by prayer you mean positive thoughts and energy towards someone else's well-being, then maybe. And even in their well-being, you got to see it. You got to see it. You got to see the results of the situation, not the situation. You know, you got to see the end. I am very big. Like, if I ever coach you, any of you guys, you'll find that I am very much about reverse engineering something. Let's see the end and reverse engineer our way back. Which son was that? What about one? Because one of Jacob's sons did try to get with his stepmother. And then that's sad. I gotta kill my son because he tried to get with his stepmom. Oh yeah, I love it. This is one of the top glossed over stories in that whole Bible, of David and Bathsheba's story, and how they sent her husband to the front lines to die, but not before attempting to manipulate him into sleeping with his wife in an attempt to hide the pregnancy. That's a whole video by itself, but that was some bullshit. Praying is really that different from meditation. Was thinking they were one and the same. No. Think about it like this, Nelvin. When you're praying, you're hoping and wishing and asking for something outside of yourself to change something inside yourself, right? But meditating is you looking inward to change what is inward. An example, would you pray? I'm inside my house right now. What would praying would be like me praying that somebody from the outside comes in and clean my house. Meditating is me seeing this house clean and getting off my ass and go clean the house. Which one is more powerful? Which one is more likely to happen? You see what I'm saying? I'm the determining factor when it comes to meditating. You're hoping that there's some being that exists that changes things when you pray. And I understand, I see you say good insight. But that, yeah, a lot of Christians try to say that praying and meditating are the same thing. They are far from the same thing. Yeah, and that David and I think she was talking about the David and Bathsheba thing. But that David is a messed up individual. And all the people knew he was messing up. His people knew. A bunch of sycophants. Right. Prayer, say you pray. All right. I meditate to change the way I feel about the moment. I pray, and honestly, that's never ever worked. And I thought it was me. And that's the thing about it. People, they will blame you. Like when I was sick one time, 15 years old, had a sinus infection. They didn't know. This is just telling y'all how life has changed in the last 40 years. Well, not 40, almost 40 years. When I was 15 and I had a sinus infection, and we didn't know what sinus infections were back then, they called themselves praying and praying and praying and praying. And the prayer didn't do nothing. And they was like, how do you feel? I said, I still feel the same. Well, that's because you ain't got enough faith. They try to flip it back on you, you know. And the Bible teaches them that because of your faith, you are healed. Jesus says that all the time. But no, I got a bacterial infection going on in my head. And back then I didn't know about herbs and stuff, but my grandmother did, and she did one of her concoctions. There you go, sinus infection was gone. And she flushed my sinus and my nasal passageways as well. She did the work. But yeah. So I am going to, it's like we got 6 minutes. So in these last little 8 minutes, rather, because I finish at 3 o'clock no matter what. And so I do appreciate you guys. This is always a great discussion. Yeah, always a great discussion. Y'all can turn. I come on here with enough material to only last about 45 minutes to an hour. But y'all always provide the other 2 hours. Y'all are amazing. And I appreciate y'all so very much. Unless Angelina is late. Yeah. Well, she's never going to be late anymore because today was her last day on her job. You know, thank God. Today was her last day. Thank you, Jesus. Or like my guy, I don't know if y'all watch Deconstruction, but that dude is tripping right now. So, thank you, Claude McGraw or Claude McGraw, some shit he's doing right now. It's funny as shit. But anyway, today was her last day, so I'm still going to be stopping at 3 o'clock because she will be present, but I'll still be stopping at 3 o'clock. But so definitely look, I know y'all get to see y'all see maybe 2 sides of me on here. Now that she stopped working, we're moving to North Carolina, and like in February, we're going up to Boston to a Hawks game, Hawks and Celtics. It's a Hawks game for me, a Celtics game for her. On our channel, Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travels, you'll get to see a whole different side of me. Because I am different. I am multifaceted, just like y'all are multifaceted. So please go and subscribe to that page on Facebook, Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travels, and as well as her page. Really, did you know? It threw me off because not South Carolina, North Carolina. We're moving to Wilmington, North Carolina. And we got a lot of stuff to do. Like I got to take this desk apart because this desk is going to one of my nieces. We got TVs that are going to different people in the family because we got way more furniture than we need. So a whole bunch of stuff is going to be going to family members. And so we get to get rid of all of that stuff. And it's going to be interesting. We'll be doing a lot of visiting of different beaches and cities on the East Coast, going across country in March on a road trip cross country. So hopefully we get to see you guys. But it's Wilmington, North Carolina, Sheila is where we're going. So, yep, check that channel out. You get to see some other parts. So y'all have a great day. And remember always that you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. When are we coming down? We haven't set the date for that yet. You're talking about the retreat. Let us get moved, and then Angelina will be able to work on that. Yes. Oh, bro, you know I'm doing a video about that. I did one already when we was there like last year, but I will be doing another more in-depth video about what happened in Wilmington. But later, bye. I'm out.